Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this inspirational webinar hosted by us at Antalis. My name is Linda, and I am the marketing manager for Antalis in Northeast Cluster. And today we actually have more than 250 creatives and printers joining from 7 countries. So a warm welcome to all our participants from Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Antalis is aiming to share inspiration of the use of our products in paper, visual communications, and packaging. And this webinar is one of our ways to do that. And today, we focus on the magnificent exhibition and book, Life Eternal, that was hosted by Nobel Prize Museum, and where they decided to print not a catalog, but a 400 pages long book. We are very happy to be part of this project, which is really a perfect example of how a great idea can turn something ordinary into something extraordinary. And with us today to share the vision and the different aspects of this work is Carla, Åhlvik, Director of Exhibitions from Nobel Prize Museum, Greger Ulf Nilson, Designer at Gun Lab, and Daniel Andersson, Project Manager at the print house ByWind. And if you have any questions while listening to the speakers, and I hope you do, please write them in the Q&A, and we will do our best to answer them in the end of the webinar. We will record the webinar, so you get the recording afterwards if you want to share with someone who couldn't make it today. And everyone that is here will also have the chance to win one of these exceptional books. With that, I welcome Carla from Nobel Prize Museum to give us some insight into the vision and the creation of the exhibition and the book Life Eternal. So Carla, we will set up your presentation and then I will leave the screen to you.
Thank you. And thank you for inviting me to this webinar. It's quite exciting and interesting for me to be part of. I will talk a little bit about the exhibition, what we aim to do, why we did it, and how it turned out, and give you some examples from the exhibition in what way we tried to achieve with it. It was shown at Liljevall's art gallery in Stockholm from the 1st of October last year to the end of January. So it's quite new for us still, and we have a lot to digest and a lot of experience with this exhibition to talk about for a long time, I think, because it was a major impact for us within the Nobel Prize sphere as well. We could take the next picture, please. What we wished to achieve was, of course, a lot of things. And I will actually start in the end here on this list. What we wanted to do was an exhibition to show the citizen of Stockholm and the Swedish people that what kind of exhibition they might be able to see in the new Nobel Center that we are planning to build at Slussen in Stockholm. And we have a museum in Gamla Stan, which is very famous among tourists. It has a lot of visitors. It's quite a small museum and has a lot of tourists, about 96% of international tourists as visitors. But the Stockholm people, the Stockholm audience is very little, and we wanted them to understand what to expect from a Nobel Center. So it was considered to be a prelude to the new Nobel Center. And we also wanted to build closer relationships with the Stockholm audience. And to do that, we wanted to make an exhibition that should be an adventure and to stimulate curiosity, and also to talk about the Nobel Prize in a kind of other way that we usually do, not so much focusing on the Nobel Prize laureates as to create this talk about big questions related to each and every one of us. So we can go to the next picture. We wanted also to try to make an exhibition with a transdisciplinary focus. We wanted to combine art, science, and cultural history, and look of the questions we wanted to raise from different angles, to talk both with academia and also with civil society, and examine the impact that the Nobel Prize have on the world and on us as a society and also as individuals. And try to look upon the world from different angles, to put it in another way. So the next pic, please. We related to the Sustainable Development Goals, of course, but more vaguely. But we started with talking about the kind of very strange situation we are in the world now, that we can in many ways become much older, and we have so many ways now to improve ourselves with AI, not least, and also with DNA editing and all these kind of strange things that has happened that is very interesting and could make our lives so much more exciting and live longer and be stronger and more healthy. And at the same time, we have this climate situation that actually withdraw our possibilities to live on this world. So it's kind of a strange situation, which has made us, I think, all of us in this world a bit confused now. We don't really know where to go. So that is the starting point for the subject, why we chose the title Life Eternal, is very much to talk about that. Life could be very different in the future, and it can also be very complicated. Next, please. The target group that we worked with was age 15-35, as we called young adults. We think that they are very interesting for us to connect to. So that was the one we sort of aimed to reach. Next. Now we start with the exhibition, and we can actually go to the next picture instead. Here we see it was a big investment for us. It was a huge investment, both financially and working and everything. And we have never done such a big exhibition in Stockholm anytime. There have been exhibitions, quite big exhibition international, but never in this size either, international. So, and there was a lot of people involved in this exhibition when we started to work with it. And we talked to, of course, a lot of researchers, but also writers and artists and organizations and everything to develop this content. And we also commissioned a kind of artwork that I will talk about later on. And it has a total budget of 20 million Swedish crown. And we could never have done it without the support of the Elling Persson Foundation and the Knut and Alice Wallenberg Foundation, which is also the main supporters for the new Nobel Center. Next. Here is a series of pictures from the exhibition. We wanted it to start with a feeling of being in a sort of immerse experience, to sit down and just land in the exhibition. So, and we worked here with Arctic House, who made this wonderful installation for us, which will now be shown in their galleries in New York and Washington and Miami. Next. Then we did an exhibition that is now actually on place at the Nobel Prize Museum in Stockholm. So you're all welcome to come and visit it. It's 6 tables, with each and one representing one of the categories. And here in the middle, you can see the peace table that talks about the reconciliation process in South Africa, and Desmond Tutu got the Nobel Peace Prize for his work there. Next. We then started with the situation, with the climate situation, in that sense that we wanted to show other ways of growing food. So here we showed different hydroponic and aquaponic systems in how to grow food and to grow fishes. Don't say grow, but I can't find the word right now, in a more circular way, and try to find new ways to grow food for the future. Next. This is a room where we talked about how we can grow older, and the fact that people, we human being has always been thinking about growing old, and why do we die? And in the on the wall there you can see 2 pictures talking with vanitas objects from the 16th centuries, where we wanted to, where people thought about that everything dies and disappears, and it was a lot of paintings that trying to symbolize that. And you can also see this jellyfish, which is actually one of the creatures in the world that seems to have eternal life. If they are wounded or something, they just rearrange themselves and continue. Here we talked about, yes, you can start to the next. This is a project we did with Ishiguro, that in his latest novel, Clara and the Sun, where he talks about a humanoid robot called Clara and her life together with the girl Josie. And we did this installation, which is showing the how to produce a robot called who's hanging there in the air. And we also made a chat boat called Clara, where you could chat with Clara, the humanoid robot. Next. In the central room in the exhibition, we wanted to show different artwork and cultural history objects that relates to eternal life. All the other rooms were connected to the Nobel Prize, but this room was more freer. And we were very happy to be able to borrow this mummy coffin from Gustavianum in Uppsala, which is here combined with 3 artworks, where one is The Other Must Be, is by Mats Hjelm, Swedish artist, and it refers to the Eucharist in the Catholic tradition, where you take the wine and the bread, Christ is present. So there is a meeting with 1,000 years apart in this ritual. And there you can also see the astronaut, which became a symbol for the exhibition. He's sitting there, so he's sort of connecting. He also looks a bit like he didn't really know what to do, which became a symbol for us in this strange world that we now live in. With all this technique, something has sort of gone completely wrong, and what are we supposed to do about it? Next. This is the last room in the exhibition, and it's called Regeneration. It's an artwork in the middle by Julien Charrier, and there is an orchid which is frozen, and it's frozen with the same technique as if you want to get frozen after you have died, as you know, as people do, and are hanging in tanks and hoping to be reawakened in better times. That is how you will look like, but this is an orchid frozen in that technique in the middle. And we also had these poems that Greger designed so beautifully. We worked with the Swedish Academy there, and they chose 3 poems from the 3 different laureates. This is Harry Mattisson and Szymborska, and we also had Louise Glück on the 3rd wall, where you can sort of contemplate on the regeneration theme. So this is some of the pics, and you can move on then to the next. 3 artwork were commissioned. We had a big now time is running, so I will be quick here. But Mark Dyan, an American artist, made an installation called the Department of Memory, Storage and Conservation in one of the rooms. And Christian Partos, Nicky Lindroth from Bar and Nordic House also made wonderful artwork made for the exhibition. Next. And we made this anthology, as we call it. And actually, it was Greger's idea because we had very little time and very little money by that time. We were very late in the process. And Greger said, you must make a book. And we said, no. And then in the end, he said, but you must. And he tried to sort of convince us and came with this idea. And I suddenly came to think of, we've been talking to so many fantastic people in this project, wonderful researchers, writers, journalists, thinkers. And when Greger put us together with Jan Gradvall, who became the one I worked with, and he was also the main editor concerning to the text editing. We sort of said, let's just do it and let it happen. And it all went very quickly. And many times I regretted it, and many times I'm extremely happy that we did it. And also thanks to you, because of course you were part of us saying, okay, let's do it. We just need to have this catalogue, which we named not to be a catalogue because it's very little about the exhibition in it. It is texts that are connected to the exhibition thematically in different ways. And I'm ever so happy that we made it. It's a wonderful book. And next again. We can drop this and we can drop this. We can go to I want to show you what we achieved very quickly. No, the first, that one. Yes, we got the Stockholm and Swedish people coming. 83% came from Sweden and 60% around lived in Stockholm. So that was, of course, brilliant. And 30% of the Swedish visitors were young adult, which is a huge number in museum world, and especially in the art world. So we had a fantastic result. Next. We asked them if they thought it was innovative and interesting, and 92% of the visitors thought the exhibition was interesting, and 73% thought it was innovative. And people who does this kind of investigation in museum exhibitions says this is so rare. 70% thought it was innovative. They never heard of that. So we really had a breakthrough that we made something that they had never seen before. Next. Huge media impact. We are overwhelmed with all the articles, and it was written about it in all the main newspapers everywhere, and we have brilliant reviews. Next. And also on social media, it was coming the whole time over and over again on all the social media. And it was almost strange to be part of such a successful project. Next. And we also made a lot of advertisement, which Greger worked with, of course, in the whole city. So the whole Stockholm, I think no one missed Evigt Liv, even though they didn't go to the exhibition. They were very aware there was some big exhibition called Evigt Liv going on, and a lot of talking, a lot of buzzing about it all over. So that's, I'm ending there, and give the word to Greger, I suppose. Thank you.
Thank you, Clara, for sharing that with such an exciting, scary, hopeful, and thought-provoking exhibition. I'm not surprised to see the results. No one in Stockholm has missed it, of course. And we're super happy to be part of it from Antalis, and super happy that the idea of the book came up and became reality, Greger. So we are very keen to hear more from you And I just wanted to introduce a bit more to the audience. I mentioned you're a designer at Gun Lab, and you're also one of Scandinavia's most award-winning art directors and graphical designer. And
that's only because I've been working quite a lot.
Yes, you have. Only with this project alone, we saw quite a massive production. And I will leave the floor to you to tell a bit more about your idea with the book and the design, and also, of course, a bit about choosing the paper. So the stage is yours. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Linda. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for inviting me. I will try to do this quite quick. I was asked to do a small presentation of myself, and I will see here. Do you see my screen? Can you see
very
my
well?
screen?
Yes.
Yeah. First of all, before I would talk about the life internal, I would just show some small things that I've done, and this is just a presentation of myself. So yeah, so I'm not only doing books or design for books. I do I lost the word. Identities for companies and institutions. This was the first sketch for the Swedish national scene Dramaten, which ended up like that. But it started with a thing on the flight from Amsterdam, I remember. Anyway, so this is this ended up in this logotype or this word mark, and we did some books at the Dramaten as well. This was for the Bergman Festival 2018. A huge catalog that also Gothenburg, the printer of Gothenburg did, Göteborgs Tryckeri. This is another identity for a museum in Sweden, the Museum of Modern Art, Moderna Museet. I did this together with two friends of mine, Björn Kosowski and Henrik Nygren. There is also always a lot of people involved in the project, so they all should be all mentioned. This was another project that started. It's a firm in Switzerland called Nobel, and they do a catalog each year. And they asked me if I could do this when I was working at Snøhetta in Norway. This was almost a life eternal, because we did that project and it called Living the Nordic Light. And I wanted to ask people and how it was to live the Nordic life, and to get the right answers. I asked people that were more than 100 years old. So we did this. We did portraits of them, and we did interviews with them. And this portrait was taken by Sölve Selsbo. And this, as it did, that was the main target, to do an annual report for this company. But the figures and numbers it was just 20 pages in the end, and the book was on, I think, almost 600 pages. Yeah. So we scanned them, and we took some color photos of them each. There was 4 people. This is Maria. She was 104 years old. Lovely woman. And then, it was actually an annual report that we were asked to do, but it was such a success. So it went to being exhibitions all around the world. So this was one actually in Sweden, but we also did in Berlin and in US and so on. Now it's actually in China. and this is also identity. So it's not only for culture institution, it's also for the Swedish Golf Museum, which was very funny that I did with the Danish architect firm. Yeah, this was the word. This was the word mark, and this is small symbols for them as well. And one of the latest things I did, it was the graphic for a TV series here in Sweden called Händelser vid vatten, which is a very, very famous book here in Sweden. And I did everything analog, so everything was just handwritten. And this, and end up with this. It's the sign when you came in one of the entrance to Evigt Liv, to life eternal. And this was the book that we made, the catalog of the book. And so thank you very much. Now I'm going to, let's see here. I will show you some spreads and talk about the thing that we were actually, let's see. First of all, I would say, doing this project, and I think Clara, she mentioned it, and I hope you understand that I'm just a very, very, very small part of this project, and about this catalog. I'm a little bit of that as well, because there is so many people that was working it. I mean, Clara is the chief curator of this exhibition, and she had so much work into this catalog that she said that she was, oh, this is going to be too much, because she was running and doing a magnificent exhibition. But I convinced her, pushed her to do this catalog as well. And maybe, Clara, I mean, the exhibition had a time limit. This book is actually maybe the only thing that will have a life eternal in the end. That will be something that reminds of the exhibition. But of course, there is a lot of people included in this project, like Jan Gradvall and my assistants, and and also the printer, the post-production. There is so many people. When we were doing this from the beginning, we have to think about that. I always do when I do design or books or whatever. You have to think about who is going to get this book, and then you should always start as a very famous and a brilliant art director and designer in Sweden in the 50s, which was one of the most famous designers. He also had a list how to work, and this list was it was 7 lines that he said. It was first you have to plan, then sort, then sanitize, organize, calculate, and then design. So the design is actually you do that in the end. First, you need to know what to do, and sometimes it feels like people turn this the other way. They design before they've been thinking of what the main reason of this thing is. But it's a book. I will show. So anyway. So as we said, the main image of this exhibition that we had, like it became almost like a logotype for the exhibition, was this astronaut that we had on the front page. On the back page, on the cover, you have this, I would say, really bad drawings, but it's an amazing drawing in a way, because this is a drawing that NASA sent out in the late 70s. So it's actually in the space now for aliens to see if they found it. They will have a clue about our world, and this is one of the image that they have sent out. And then we thought, of course, to have the Alfred Nobel on the cover. So it's its death mask. Let's see here. Okay. And a book, I mean, a book is so much more than just, you have to think about so much about the tactility. I mean, the book is so much something that you have in your hands, and that you can go from other way. There is not the one entrance. You can go from both way. You can go in the middle. You can go wherever. So it's very important how you think about that, and you should really think about the book as a very tactile thing. As Clara said, the audience for this project was an audience. The main audience, the main target was people from 15 to 35, and so that also made the decision not to make a very expensive coffee table book. That, I mean, we could have done that because of all this art and all this text, everything that was amazing. So we could have made an amazing book in that way. But we decided to make a small book, a book that we of a format that was the golden gyllene snittet, as we said, the golden ratio, and which is, yeah, with a lot of things comes from the life eternal. So it was very important for us not to do a coffee table book. We didn't want it to be magnificent, and we just wanted to be quite plain in a way. We also, so the what was in it, that was the most important. And as it is, I mean, I think it's 50-50 text and images. Most art books or art catalogs or whatever are always too big because of the reason that if it's a lot of text in it, because you never read them because they're too heavy. You can't read them. They're too. It's it's actually too hard to read them. And this book, we made it as a pocket soft cover book, and so you could read the text, and that was very important for us. So we wanted to make the book accessible, and also with a price that was not that expensive, so people could afford it, and especially these people from 15 to 35. Yeah. And we were mixing images from the most high-end art to some images that, I mean, it's documentary. It's some amazing images from the space, from NASA, but some images also just was something that you could sort of, it was more emotional images. Of course, some images from the exhibition, but also some quite, I would say, quite bad images in a way. I mean, this. So it's a very important, I think, today, more important than ever, when we see so many images in the world. We have Instagram, we have everything, and we're overwhelmed with images. It's very important to make your own story with the images and mix. If you just have the high-end art images that you see all over, then you get a little bit bored. So it's good that we were mixing images, that it's very simple and some very, very good ones. And so that was our goal or whatever, to do the design and to edit, I would say, to edit the book. Yeah, and I mean, so we were mixing high and low, and we was also, I would say, no, yeah, you can see this text in the book. I was very, very happy that because most of the texts are written by the most, I mean, some Nobel Prize winner authors, and I mean, amazing authors. And the text was, yeah, but this text was actually made from a guy called Göran Pettersson. This is a text from a punk single from 1979. I never think he would have thought that he would end up with this text in a book for the Nobel Prize Museum. But this was how good Clara and the team from Nobel Prize made the exhibition. It was so, I don't remember the word that you said, that it was so, that was 75% or someone that thought the exhibition was very overwhelming, and yeah. So mixing this with this was absolutely Clara and the curator's idea on how to make this. And of course, we wanted to, as I said in the beginning about the tactility, as the book is a tactility piece, there is so much, it's so important with the paper that you can feel, and because this is something that you have in your hand, and how it was made. So that's why I called Antalis and asked them, can you please help me with some paper? And then we ended up with this Olin Nordic white paper, and it had this tactility that we were looking for. Then we had 24 pages with quotes from the Nobel Prize winners. That was actually made on another paper, which was glossy and gold. So we wanted to be a little bit more fancy. Yeah, here you can see Bobby. Yeah, as you can see, some of the images are quite bad, but it could tell the story, and it really works together with these high-end images. Yeah, so you can see Desmond Tutu. So that was how we worked and how we were thinking with the book. Me, Clara, and Jan Gradvall. Yeah. This is the last image. This is the eternal machine, and a heavy metal album cover that had this Dance Macabre. Yeah. So this was actually it. I think that yeah, I think I said everything about this book now. Maybe I have more to say, but this is, yeah, the main things, I believe. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Greger. And it was really nice to hear you describe your scientific, almost an approach to tackling the objectives of this exhibition and the purpose of the book.
But as I said, I mean, it starts with a discussion, and if you follow that plan that Åhlvik sell, that I said, to plan, sort, sanitize, organize, calculate, and then design. So then that involved a lot of people. So Clara and Jan and all the others at Nobel Prize Museum, they were so involved in it. So the end result, even if I am the designer or whatever of it, it's actually so much shaped from the others as well. So we are a big team of this.
Yes.
And as I said, the book, it was very, very important that the book it's something that you could afford, and that is also something that you can have in your hand and read. You can take it on the subway. That was good. It's not this coffee table book that it could have end up with if it was not very good planned from the beginning.
And that is great. And I think, as you said, it will live, and perhaps not internally, but close to. And that's a really great aspect of paper, and we are not, of course, objective totally, but a great way to show, what we can add in terms of value with this product. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Very interesting. And finally, we will also welcome Daniel from the print house ByWind, who will talk about the final but not less important step of printing this book and the techniques you used to capture this idea coming from your customers, and also share some insight into ByWind, which is the latest edition, I think, for the graphical industry, where we don't have so many news. So we're quite interesting to hear your story, Daniel.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and good morning to all of you. I'm going to start by sorry. Sorry. Yes, good morning. The book Life Eternal was printed by ByWind, and I would like to start by telling you a bit about the new concept ByWind. I'm the product manager, Daniel Andersson, and you probably know us as the former Göteborgs Tryckeriet, most famous for most people, but during 2022 we were merged with another company in Sweden, a printer called Lito, and went into the new brand name ByWind. We consist of 3 different business areas. We have art printing, where we have placed Eternal Life. This is for printing high quality photo books, art books, and projects that demands high quality in every aspect. I will tell you a bit more about this later. We also have a commercial printing area where we print larger scale productions, catalogs, and have different methods with offset, inkjet, or digital printing. And we also have a section called architecture printing, where we actually have printing on decors and many types of materials like glasses or tiles or fabrics, larger formats, and outdoor printing possibilities. The name ByWind comes from that we have 6 windmills in our organization spread across Sweden. We actually produce about 30 gigawatts of energy and only consume 2 gigawatts ourselves, so we contribute to the society. And this is why we have chosen to call our company ByWind. You all know this is a political discussion at the moment, so I think this is the correct way of moving forward. And since we have so much electricity production, we actually can brand our printed matters with the origin labeled renewable electricity logo if you want to. Yeah, let's talk about the subject for today, Life Eternal, and how we made production. I was approached by Greger, who is the designer you just listened to, and the repro firm Italgraph, who had made the project possible together with Nobel Prize. And we were asked to produce something sustainable and at a good price. We were asked to use a tactile paper, and Greger and Antalis approached me and asked if we have ever printed on Olin design. And of course we have tried it, but a bit unknown market. So we made a couple of print tests and found out that the paper is a super good paper to print on. Good surface, a good structure, and a good whiteness to the paper. So this paper was really good to produce on. In our art printing section, we print with a UV technique from a Japanese printing company called a company that makes presses. It's Komori. They are known for being a bit smaller machines, tighter machines with high quality and good productivity. When printing art books, we always use FM screen. This is a different way of approaching the printing. And I will talk a bit about this screening method. Most printers on uncoated paper use 150 or 200 lines conventional AM screen. But we use something called FM screen, a frequency modeled pattern that that creates, when you look at the print and closely look at it with a loupe, or even if you just look at it with your eye, you can almost in a 200 or 150 lines screen pattern, you can almost see the dots in the print. But with FM screen, you can achieve so much more higher contrast and sharpness to the images. And this is a very good way to have a good print on uncoated paper with a lot of colors and popping colors from the paper. And for this, Olin design paper was perfect because it had the right type of tactility on the surface to react with this FM screen pattern. Here are some images. It's hard to see the AM screen here on an image, but a couple of cool images from the project. You can almost see it here, actually, when looking at backgrounds or tone plates. You get a very even surface without the eye being distracted by the screen patterns. You can create sharp edges and good color balance with this type of printing. Also, as Greger mentioned, they had 24 pages in the middle with a different kind of paper. And this was also from Antalis, a gallery art silk. And by adding a Pantone gold color to to the surface, and then also adding a varnish in the machine, a water-based varnish, a gloss. We had a good reaction to the surface, and I know this is one of Greger's most. He feels a lot for this. If we let him in, I think he will agree on this, because you can create when printing on a silk paper and adding varnish to it, you create a new tactile feeling for the surface, and this worked really well with the gold and the silk paper. Then, of course, for you who have seen the book, we have a couple of effects on the cover. We have a flat foil where we press the paper in slightly with the cliché. Here you can see the cover and the cliché. And we always use brass clichés, even though it's a flat foil. Often you use this type of clichés for embossing or other types of effects. But to get sharp edges on the foil, you need to use a really steady cliché tool. It's etched from a whole piece of brass, and this is why it becomes so sharp on the edges. If we look at the front cover, also Greger added a special feature to the book. He said earlier that it's just a pocket book, but we actually made it with flap covers to create a more steadier feeling to the product. And also he asked me to reduce the creasing on the front pages. Often you have creasings crossing here and same on the back side. With this technique, we made it slightly better to open, and the book overall looks better design-wise. So this was a couple of points from me, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Daniel. That was really great to hear how you captured the idea and to have the whole circle of this creative idea described.
Yeah.
And yes, I see. Thank you so much. And to all our speakers and to you, Daniel, we have a few minutes, and we have also a few questions from our audience. So I will read the first one here, which is from Cecilia. And the question goes to Greger. It's about your work in Händelser vid vattnet. The question is the handwritten typography to Händelser vid vatten. Where were your thoughts behind making it in that way, and not just analog, also with some juvenile or adolescent style, if you may?
In that project, I could have gone two ways. I could have gone very literature, as Karin Kerstin Ekman wrote the book. It's an icon in Sweden, this book. It's read with so many people, I wanted it to I had some word in that case. I also planned from the beginning, so I had some word that I worked from, and that was homemade. And this, sometimes in my world, that word is like the worst word that you can say. Oh, it's look homemade. But I think that was very, very, very good for this project. So I wanted it to look like these people at the collective. Is that a word for it? That was that they had made it, that they actually wrote the whole thing, and every single letter is made by hand. So it was. I just told them that it was very important to get a red manuscript from the beginning, so I didn't have to do it again, because it's very simple. It's extremely analog, and I think the time that the series from, it was analog. So I was just I did it analog.
Yes. Thank you. And we have another question about typography. I read it as the question is about the book. What were the thoughts on the ideas behind the typography there?
Oh, on the book, that was very, very easy. It was already made. It was excellent, made by a design firm called Stockholm Design Lab. They had made the identity for the Nobel Prize, and they had made two typographies. It's Alfred Sans, I believe it's called, and Alfred Text. So of course I made everything with their typography. I didn't change a thing. I just took what was there in front of me. It would have been very, very bad on me if I had tried to push to make some other typography or something on the main title or whatever. No, so it was already there.
Simple choice. Good. Thank you. And then we have one more question. Goes to Daniel, I think. Then is the book cover laminated?
No, it's only the Olin paper. So for the cover we used 300 GSM Olin design. For the inside it was a bit less thicker paper and gallery of silk, so it's unlaminated. But actually we have sealed it with a type of machine varnish to keep the colors extra safe. Since it's been printed in UV, normally you don't need to use varnish to make it stick to the surface, but since it's a cover and a bit on the lighter side, we made also a backside consists of a bit white surface, so we added a varnish, but not the lamination, because that would have killed the tactility in the Olin paper. So unlaminated, yes.
Yes, thank you. And then we have one final question from the days. How much time did the designing and printing of the book take? You mentioned it was quite an intense process.
Sorry, one more time. Who was
maybe it is for Greger and you, Daniel. How much time did the designing process and printing take?
As I said, the design process is the last thing that we do. I mean, if you're talking about the whole project with the meetings with Clara and Jan, and to find an editor, together working with Clara and all these people, and to find the text that we were going to have in the book, and to ask them if they could write something for just this book. And so I think it's absolutely less than a year together. Maybe it's less than a year for the whole project. From the first day I asked Clara, convinced her that we were going to do this, to having the book in our hands. I would say absolutely less than a year. So we were quite quick. Quick.
Yeah. And then when you approached me, we started out with with the repro process of sending Epson proofing and doing wet proofs, and you had a couple of correction rounds, I think, Greger. So I think the whole process from start to the end took about five, maybe 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And that included printing and binding and delivery.
And it's very important to say the images, the quality of the images. I mean, not what you see, but the quality of the image itself. Some of them are very bad, because, and so of course, some of them are excellent, like Irving Penn's. They come like a perfect image, but some of them are really sort of trash. And I think it's very interesting to mix this together. And of course, the paper and that Daniel and the post, they did an excellent job on that, actually.
I agree.
Thank you, Greger.
And I agree with Agnes' last comment here as well. Great work and project. And again, very happy to be part of it. And our time is up. So I want to say thank you again, Daniel, Greger, Clara, all our speakers, and all of you who participated. We hope you enjoyed this webinar and that you are inspired to use paper to add value and eternal life to your projects. And then in particularly Antalis paper, of course. And if you're curious to try out Olin Design and Olin Design Nordic White that was used to print the book, you have another chance to order our nice sample kits in the post-webinar email that you will get. And then you will also get the recording of the webinar. And we hope that you will take 1 minute to also answer our survey of 3 questions on the webinar and what you wish to see as future topics of inspirational webinars. And we wish you all a lovely continuance of this day. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.